It's the ultimate travel guide from the people who know it best. Weekends with Yankee. From central Vermont, we travel to the coast of Maine. Here in the small harbor town of Camden, there's a store that sells handmade heirloom quality wool blankets and other textiles. The Swans Island Company preserves the tradition of using wool from family-run sheep farms, and the blankets are woven on hand looms that are not so different from those used over a century ago.
If someone were to magically walk into Swans Island Company now from, let's say, 150 years ago, they'd be surprised that we had this thing called electricity. Other than that, they would recognize the dyeing that we do, because it's all done by hand. They'd recognize the finishing work, because that's all done with a needle and thread. And they'd recognize our looms, because they're hand looms. We're located right here in our 1780 farmhouse. It's not the easiest place in the world to live. It may be the most beautiful place to live, though.
The company was founded in 1992 by John and Carolyn Grace, two lawyers from Cambridge, Massachusetts, who were looking to start a second chapter in their lives. They moved to Swans Island, Maine, and dedicated themselves to producing hand-woven, heirloom-quality wool blankets. The Graces sold the business in 2004 to Bill Larita, who moved the operation to Northport. Bill has continued the tradition of using fleece from family farms.
For a lot of the fleece that we purchase, we know the farmers. So there's the Rupert family in Ohio and the Reichert family in Pennsylvania. There's Joe Miller, who lives up in Starks, Maine. And these are folks who have been supplying fleece to our company for 25 years. So this is raw fleece. It was shorn recently at a farm up in Bar Harbor. And this is how we start with a blanket.
After the fleece is washed, it's sent to a spinnery to be spun into yarn. At that point, it's ready to be dyed. Indigo is the base for many of the colors used by head dyer Tony Vinci.
Indigo is a pretty unique dye in that most dyes get absorbed into the fiber, and indigo actually adheres to the outside of the fiber. But before it's able to adhere, it needs to be chemically changed from the blue color to what they call an indigo white. And you do that by changing the pH to a really alkaline, and you remove all the oxygen from the vat. And then when you take it out of the dye bath, it reoxidizes and it changes back from the indigo white to the indigo blue. With each consecutive dip into the indigo pot, more and more indigo will adhere to the fiber. So if you want a really dark shade of blue, you'll have to go through multiple 5 to 10 dips to get a really dark shade, whereas if you wanted more of a sky blue, it would be one kind of quick dip in there.
After the yarn is dyed, it's loaded onto a spindle. The spindle goes into a shuttle that moves back and forth as the warp and the weft of the blanket takes shape.
Maine is a place where people make a lot of things by hand. We make a lot of wooden boats, for instance. We make a lot of wooden furniture. So we partake in that long tradition in Maine of really being involved with our hands and making these wonderful products.
Because the fleece is cleaned organically, there are sometimes bits of chaff remaining in the blanket, and these are removed by hand using surgical tweezers. The finish work is hand-sewn into the blanket and is now ready to be passed down through many generations.
And these really are family heirlooms, and that's what makes the object special.